All right. Well, welcome to the talk, everybody. I'm super excited for this one. I'm Frank Bang. You can call me Lionheart. That's what I am in game. We are joined by Sam and Rick as usual. Hey, guys.
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, I am Sam. Or you searched for Recon. Hopefully you see me around. If not, well, I'm not doing my job good enough. So yeah.
And yeah, I'm Rick, and Spencer. I don't think is brave enough to talk yet, but
Yeah.
he's in there too, and he'll be the one running most of the comments. Check for the pinned messages at the top of the thread, and there you will be able to find links to all the other posts that we're going to reference here.
Nice. For anyone who's unfamiliar with the show, we typically talk about just a few relevant things that are going on in the game, and then we go through some of the top posts in the last couple of weeks. But as far as posts go, not sure how many we'll actually get through tonight because there have been a lot of things that have been happening in game. And then something that I'm super excited about, we have a special guest on this week, and that is Trample Damage. Trample, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're so important?
God, okay, we only have an hour, right?
Yeah.
So I'm 41. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada, in the U.S. I have a 17-year-old son, a 15-year-old daughter. My wife and I have been together since we were 15 years old. So we're in our 26th year of being together. And I have been playing Clash since sometime in 2014. And I originally started, one of my coworkers said, "Hey, you should check this game out." And I had no idea what he was going to do to my life. But a bunch of our friends started playing. My wife started playing. My kids started playing, and the clan in the beginning was like a 50-person clan of friends and family and coworkers. And I have just been playing over the years. I started new bases over time, and this was back before Supercell ID, so I had 3 different iPads that had bases on them and different phones, and like every time one of my family members would finish with a phone, I'd be like, "Perfect, I'm going to use that for my other base." Um, and then in 2019, I started making YouTube content largely because my son had started doing stuff, and he's like, "Oh, you should totally make stuff for." I used to play. I've played Magic: The Gathering since I was 15, and I still play. But I was playing on their arena platform at the time. He's like, "Oh, you could do arena stuff. You could do Clash stuff," and I just started having a lot of fun with it, and then got a little too deep and took a break in late 2019 for a few months, and then I came back with a more level head, and then started making TikTok content toward the end of 2020. And I have just been having fun and enjoying the Reddit community because there's a lot of great resource and a lot of cool people there.
I know. I remember the first post I saw of yours was, I think it was the Town Hall 13 log launcher Quake spam thing, and it was just man, it was like the perfect Reddit post. Like I was super impressed with it because it was edited down, so it was only like a minute or two, and it was straight to the point. It didn't have any of the junk fluff. It was not clickbait, and then you had the link to the longer, more detailed video. I was like, this is exactly what I think Reddit needs from content creators, and that's when I think you're one of the few people I followed like on as a Reddit account. And yeah, I know every time you post something, we're all pretty excited to see it.
I remember that post. The funny thing is, the only reason I even started looking at Reddit in the first place is because Supercell took away global, and as a burgeoning YouTuber, I had like 70 subscribers at the time. And I wasn't the obnoxious person in global who just went in and immediately was like, check out my YouTube, check out my YouTube. I liked global for the camaraderie and the chatting and finding new clanmates. And I had taken to venturing into other clans, challenging people to find bases that I wouldn't be able to defeat. And I remember when, I would chat with somebody in global, and if they, "Oh, I have a hard time with that," I'd say, "Well, I actually," it was like very soft sell. Like, I have a YouTube channel if you're interested, but it was a lot of work to basically drum up like one subscriber. And then they took away global in September of that year. How am I gonna how am I gonna grow? And I ended up going on Reddit, and I saw, yeah, and I read the rules right away, and it was like, make sure that you're not just on here spamming your stuff. And I started reading some of the posts, and there was some humor. Obviously, this was before the weekend, rollout for combining the humor posts onto the weekend. And I really liked the community. There were a lot of friendly people. There were a lot of cool posts. And I started posting a lot of stuff, mainly just so that I would feel legitimate in every now and then posting something that might seem somewhat self-promotional. And I would try to comment on other people's posts. I loved responding to the how would you attack type of armies. And if people, and I would always ask people, hey, if you want, I can send you a link to something. Like, I didn't want to just be like, oh, here, look at this video. And then over time, I stopped worrying about, the notion of trying to grow my channel. And I stopped the notion of like thinking about it. And I just let myself enjoy the community. And I actually really enjoy making, like, what I would do at the time is I would take a YouTube post and I would try to cut it down to something small and bite-sized because, and this is something I figured out more and more, especially dealing with people on TikTok, there's like the attention span of different audiences, right? If you're sitting down in a lecture hall at a university, you would assume that the attention span is going to be longer than maybe a YouTube video. Right. And the attention span of somebody who's watching stuff on TikTok is like, 6 seconds. Reddit is definitely a longer attention span than TikTok, but a shorter attention span than YouTube, where it's like, it's got to be quick enough and jump right into it. And without being overly promotional with a bunch of links to like, click on this and look at my YouTube. And I didn't ever want it to be something that forced somebody away from the Reddit platform. And so that's why I started uploading them as videos within Reddit, as opposed to just like a link to a YouTube channel. Because a lot of people don't want to get out of Reddit. They want to look at something and then keep scrolling and see, why the world sucks, or, why Supercell is being unfair to them, or, whatever other stuff they look at on Reddit.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to go off kind of the point about making it suitable for Reddit, because we rarely see many content creators posting on Reddit. Like, I think you are primarily the only vaguely high-profile person that ever posts at least their videos on here. And when I'm scrolling through new, I do sometimes see people post their YouTube links. And it's kind of exactly what you said. No one wants to go to YouTube. I often see those posts of downvotes or zero upvotes, and because they're not suited for Reddit. There might be a 20-minute video, and like you said, people don't want to watch through that. So it's actually really great that while you do have your YouTube channel for the more detailed stuff, the content is created for Reddit, and I think that's what all the other content creators are missing. That they're using it as a promotional platform purely. Whereas, you're using it as a way to actually deliver quality content to people. And I just think that's a great approach to have. And we've never really seen anyone else do that.
I think a lot of our rules about content creators and self-promotion kind of stem out of the Reddit rules themselves. So, but I think what we want as mods, I think, is for people to come and be members of the community who can share their content instead of just using Reddit as an advertising platform. So
right.
It's always really cool when you can, follow a content creator and then and watch their videos and be subscribed and have that stuff delivered to you. But then you can go on Reddit and have a back and forth conversation with them personally. And I think that's the ideal version of a content creator as far as Reddit goes. And then I also want to say that you might be the first person ever who said, I discovered the subreddit and immediately read the rules.
I should get a badge for that.
Yeah. Oh, so just for reference, Trample, how big is your channel right now?
On YouTube, it's sitting around 7,000 or so subscribers. It got its first big boost when I made a video on the Zapquake when you could still blast the clan castle, and I was like,
I saw that.
Zapquake Town Hall 10, Zapquake Town Hall 11, Zapquake at 12, and there were so many strategies, and I made a video that was just about like how, because I would see people where they would just, and I see this still, people will drop 3 lightning spells in the dead center of an air defense and not hit anything around it. And there's so much value that you can get out of lightning spells. And so I wanted to just give people an idea of like, hey, here's the radius of the earthquake spell. Here's how you can get the most out of wrecking a clan castle. And I designed a base with a clan castle in the center and then archer towers surrounding it. And I showed how with lightning spells placed strategically around the clan castle, you could kill, and of course nobody sets a base up with the clan castle in the center surrounded by archer towers, but I showed how you could destroy all of the archer towers that were surrounding it. And that video ended up blowing up, and I went up to, I'm going to say like 2,500, 2,600 subscribers. And I still get people commenting on it now, like, this doesn't work. And it's like, I know. it's an old video. But then the next bump that I got, I think came, Supercell has now featured a couple of times. They put some of my stuff on Facebook or on their Twitter account.
Oh, nice.
It's mostly been since I want to say like midsummer of 21. They put a couple of them. They were like, hey, if you haven't finished this challenge yet, check out this quick tutorial from Trample Damage. And they linked.
Yeah, I think I've seen them.
Yeah. And so that has helped to where now I think, the last big bump I got, this was actually the biggest help. I think I was still sitting at like 4,500 subscribers, and I couldn't apply for the creator program on Supercell's website until I had at least 5,000 on YouTube or on Twitch, which, as much fun as I would have a Twitch and as well as I can speak off the cuff, I don't have time. My life just does not permit consistent streaming. And I was so close to the 5,000 subscribers. And, like right after I hit it, there are very few things I will lay claim to creating, but I feel like I can legitimately lay claim to creating what I refer to as a Hound Rider attack for Town Hall 13 and 14.
Yeah,
where
that was sick.
Got me thinking about it. There's a creator that I used to watch periodically. His name is Sir Moose, and he had an attack that he did. It was like lava hounds and bats. And I thought it would be cool to do something like that where you didn't have air defenses. And I thought, what if I could do this and zap out the air defenses, use heroes to take the fourth, and then the lava hounds would just be like flying golems. And I didn't have a very big platform, but again, I wanted to share with the community because I'm not doing this like I have a great job. I have plenty of money. I just do this for fun. And I shared with a guy named his YouTube account was Deja Vu. And somebody that I met through one of my clanmates, and I sent him a message through Discord saying, hey, I've got this really cool new attack. I don't have a very big footprint. I want to share it with somebody because he had like 13,000 subscribers. He seems to have disappeared. I don't know where he went. Like his Discord is gone and he hasn't posted anything for months. But he said, oh, that would be cool. Come share some. So he made a video out of it. And he totally was like, hey, this is, Trample Damage did this. Check out his channel. He linked my channel. And then Itsu picked it up and did a video on it, and he linked my channel, and I started getting a bunch of people that in the course of that period of time, I picked up like 2,000 subscribers and shot up to like 7,000 from that. But the last probably like week or two, I only pick up like 10 or 12 or 15 subscribers a day, but it's just fun.
So I got a question for you. You said you have played Magic the Gathering, and your name is Trample Damage, and your icon is red and green. Are those connected? Where's your name come from?
So I had said when I first started doing stuff on YouTube, it was really just because my son was doing stuff and he wanted some camaraderie, and we have a lot in common. Not surprising. I'm a wonderful parent. He's an exceptionally bright individual. We have shared interests. And when I first was trying to think of a name, I was like, I'll pick something kind of fun. And I said, I'm going to use the name Random Encounter. So I use that as my name, and that's what I set it up as. And after the first couple of videos, I was there's like some YouTube group or collection of people named Random Encounter, and they had like 2 million followers or subscribers. This is where, like, I'm good in the business world. I did not think about market research for something like YouTube. I was like, I need to pick something more obscure. And I have always loved the trample mechanic in Magic the Gathering. And I told my son, I said, I should just use Trample Damage. And my wife used to play also when we were kids. And she's like, oh, that actually sounds good. And my logo, the TD that I have that you can see there, my son actually made that for me. And I've kept it since. I've had a lot of people actually, it's funny, people reach out to me through Reddit. They're like, I can make you better thumbnails. I can make you a better icon. I can do all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, I know, but I'm lazy. And that sounds like that's a lot of effort. But I did pick up the name Trample Damage specifically from Magic the Gathering, although now my channel is like only Clash of Clans, so I really should, on my about page on YouTube, I think it still says like arena content and Magic the Gathering and Clash of Clans content. But yeah, the red green is because my son said, what colors do you think would be the coolest? And I said, well, Trample as a mechanic in Magic is much more heavily associated with red and green, so let's do a red and green logo. And that's how I got my logo and my Trample Damage moniker.
Nice. Well, we're going to start jumping into some of the topics that we have pulled up. We've got a few Reddit posts to go through that are about the conversations, but really it's going to be much more about the discussion than the post, at least for the first couple. As you know, and pretty much anybody who's been paying attention to Clash, the last 2 weeks since we've had our last talk have just been jam-packed with a whole lot of stuff. And so we're going to toss most of these things to Trample when we get to them, as we get to them. But let's start with the quality of life update that came out earlier this week. We've got a post about it that I think is already linked in our comments. Yeah, Spencer's linking it in the comments. And so it's the official post by Darian, the bonus quality of life update coming soon. This kind of caught everybody by surprise. There weren't a ton of announcements for it in advance. People weren't really expecting a lot of these things. And it has some huge aspects to it, the hero change in particular. But wanted to see, Trample, what you think of the quality of life in this past update, how much it's affected you. I know you said you have like tons of accounts that you play on, and so what you think of all of it.
So I'll start personally. I love it. This is like my favorite thing that Supercell has done for Clash for quite some time. I feel like this brings so much more to the game than even like new troops, new defenses, new levels on things. Personally, because, I'm very busy. I'm, actively, my wife is my best friend. We spend tons of time together. I walk my dogs every morning. I read a lot. I have a big job. I got 2 kids I love. I don't have as much time as, I never, in all of my playing Clash, I never would just sit and grind with sneaky goblins or goblins. My attacks have always been about, it's a Jai Barch Wiz army, literally from Town Hall 7 all the way up to Town Hall 14. Spam a line of Giants, spam a line of Archers, spam a line of Barbarians, spam a line of Wizards, throw some Wall Breakers, rage a few times, hit my hero abilities. Soon as I get the Dark Elixir in the Town Hall, I end the attack, and then I would go back in to make another. And the reason I would end the attack is because my heroes were not still alive. So I always start by raiding for Dark Elixir, and so this army works out really well. I could jump on, and if I get the Dark Elixir, the storage, and the Town Hall fast enough, it gives me that opportunity to escape essentially with 1 or 2 heroes intact, and then I can go right back in. With this update here, I can legitimately make 2 full attacks and let them see themselves to completion, because in the past I'd have to say, okay, well, do I want to end the attack while there's still a drill I could get to, hoping that my heroes will be useful enough in the next attack I make, or do I just end it now and keep the heroes? So now I don't have to make that decision. And the other thing too, and I felt this for the first time, I think it was yesterday or the day before in Clan War, where I literally went in. I have both my Town Hall 14s in our main clan, and I made all 4 of my war attacks with them literally back to back to back. And in the past, I've done that, but it winds up costing me gems, and it's like irritating. But I feel so excited about this. And it's something that I actually, because I post a lot of crap on TikTok. It's not all crap. Some of it's crap, some of it's good. But when I posted about this, a lot of comments and messages I got from people said stuff like, oh my God, this is so cool. This is the best thing they've done for a long time. I'm going to start playing Clash of Clans again because of this. And I don't have a massive platform to share that information, but I went in Discord, they have a chat essentially for the creator content. And I just posted in there, hey, I just wanted to share, I've been getting so much positive commentary about this that it was very surprising to me. So I went in and I just briefly explained how the mechanic works. And I showed, hey, look, here's me making an attack. And look, my heroes are all ready to go, made another attack. And because of all the life that the queen did not lose in the first attack, she was actually ready for a third attack. But, I don't have any other troops there. So I personally am really enjoying it. And I see from the community, the comments that I've been getting, whether through direct messages on TikTok or on just comments that people posted there, it feels as big to other people as it does to me.
Just saying, I've been enjoying it too. I think especially if you have more than one account, it really helps. But I have a few accounts. I really just focus on one, and to sit down and grind one account through a full Legends day. Outside of War, I haven't noticed a huge difference as far as the hero change, but there are a whole lot more changes to this patch that I'm excited to talk about too. But what were you saying, Sam?
I was just saying, I wonder if the large reason for all this extra positive feedback that, like Trample noted, sometimes doesn't even come with a new troop or a new defense or something, is possibly because it applies to everyone. Because realistically, if a new troop comes out, say there was a new troop now, it would probably be only able to be unlocked at Town 14. And realistically, that is a very marginal amount of the player base. Like your friends that just play it casually, they're not near there. But then quality of life updates, typically, they're aimed at everyone. For example, the hero life, sure, you need to be at least Hell 7, but that doesn't take long these days. And just the extra things like the clan filtering stuff, which I personally really love. I don't know why. It applies for everyone, and it can get everyone excited about something compared to with actual content updates, which are more aimed at the higher town halls.
Yeah, I'm gonna be the clown right now and say I love it too, but I did find myself being annoyed with it today. With the whole extra life, like I'm a man of habit. I've been clashing the same way for years. I've been in Legends League for ever since the Operation Blue Skies. And like I have a really good sense of spacing out my Legends stacks throughout the day. So it like 45 minutes will go by and be like, I bet I can log in and knock a hit out real fast. And I'll stop like in the grocery store or to take a break or do whatever. And now like I'll log back in and I'm like, like my second army isn't ready for another 5 minutes. it's like it's really starting to bug me. Like I could do my hit right now, but I won't be able to do two. So I'll just wait, but it is really nice to knock out all of Legends in 4 6-minute sessions throughout the day. It's amazing.
That's hilarious. Rick the Boomer is just mad.
I know, like you're making me change my ways. I can't handle change.
I do wonder if it will come with a Legends change, because this is going to make getting 8 attacks in a lot faster. The army brew time is going to be the same for 8 armies, but I feel like the ability for people to get in 8 attacks is going to be really increased with it. But there are tons of quality of life changes that are with this. People are focusing on the hero one, which is super important. But I want to touch base on the clan ones and then the balance too. They made a few others that are also interesting. And if you guys want to talk about those, then have at it. But for clan UI, leaders and co-leaders can now see when people have logged in, or like how recently they've logged in, kind of an activity metric that's in game. And then they added a few other things that you can look at. Icons of their town hall are going to be displayed by members when you look at their profile, which is kind of hit or miss. It depends on if you run a mixed breakdown clan or not. But that activity metric, I think, is super fascinating, because I remember back when we had idea posts on the subreddit, and we still had the idea brackets that you'd have to type in the square brackets to get your post on. It would have this long list of ideas that had been asked and answered and vetoed by Supercell. And one of them was the idea that you can see how long it's been since somebody's logged on into the game. And Supercell, like years ago, was pretty vocal about saying they don't want to implement this because they don't want to, make it a requirement to be on every so often for clans. They thought that it would lead to kind of a toxic environment. I've been a clan leader for the last several years, and so that's where most of my experience is gonna come from. So I would say it's a positive thing. Just more information in general is a good thing. But I'm surprised that they had such a hard stance against it, and then here we see it. And so I don't know if any of you guys can speak to why they might have changed their minds, or just what your thoughts are on it in general.
Well, I'm fairly sure, I'm not 100% sure on this, that Clash Royale actually had this feature already.
Oh, they've had it.
Yeah, and it just, because obviously their whole statement on originally not having it was a pretty, company policy. So it's a bit odd that they would switch it for Clash Royale, where, as far as I understand, it's a similar concept. You're in a clan and you interact with other people. So I'm not sure why it was such a huge turn-off for Clash of Clans for a while when they were happy just to chuck in for Clash Royale. I mean, I really don't know, so I don't know if anyone has any information on that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I thought.
No?
No,
I've never played Clash Royale, so that's not something that I have any experience with. I do know specifically on the filters, like I said it kind of jokingly, but it started when I did, this was like April of last year. My wife was out of town for 2 days and I was like, I don't know what to do with myself. And I rigged up this really odd setting in my office at home. and I had my phone on one of those things that people would use to do, I forget what they're called, the ring lights. I had it set up on a ring light looking at my iPad. And so I was like streaming on TikTok with my phone pointed at my iPad. And I had a whole bunch of people like, hey, can I join your clan? Can I join your clan? And we only had the good guys and the good guys number 2 at the time. And it was like, main accounts, more active, more aggressive was in the main clan. And I said, well, while I'm on here, I'll just create another clan. And at this point, we actually have 4 clans in the family. And I'm going to wind up launching like a 5th and a 6th at some point, just because I have so many people that wind up asking. But I jokingly told 2 of the clans that every day I'm going to go on, and whoever has the least amount of activity or the last person that was active, I was going to kick them out of the clan. And I know it's like, that sounds like horribly toxic and not fair. And I say it kind of jokingly, but being able to quickly see that stuff, because I've never not been a clan leader. When I first started playing, the people that I was with are like my friends and family and coworkers, and it was people that I outrank at work. So I was like, I'll just start a clan, and then everybody started joining. And there are so many things, like I find myself going, has this person even played today? And I'm on their base and I'm looking at their dark elixir drills trying to guess.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if they haven't been attacked, that means that it's at least 9 hours. But this would tell me, like, if they haven't been on at all since yesterday, I might be holding out false hope that the person is going to show up to make their attack in Clan War. And yeah. I find that to be something that's incredibly useful for me.
And I think that's a really good point, that there were workarounds to see how active people were. And we could always check that with donations at the end of a month, or you can see how many attacks that they've done. There were month-long metrics, and then there were short-term metrics. And so really it fits the definition of a quality of life improvement, because a lot of this information was pretty accessible in the first place. And really the 5 of us talking right now, we all come from a pretty small percent of the player base that is incredibly active. And a lot of us are in champs clans or trying for higher than that. And so the idea of trying to require activity on a nearly daily basis is something that we would all be comfortable with. But the general player, I would be really interested to see how much like the average Clash of Clans player actually plays, because it's the most downloaded mobile game of all time. And like, if the average player is once a week or once a month, whatever that is, and depending on how you define active player versus inactive player, would affect those stats too.
It's going to be one of these weird tools where it's going to make bad clan leaders worse and good clan leaders better.
Well said.
If you want any, I know it's a very disproportionate metric, but currently in Center's clan, in my clan, I can see that, so we are currently 38 members, and 34 of them are under the played recently, which I think is in the last day. And obviously, Centers is quite an active clan, but I wouldn't say we're, hyper competitive, for example. So I think that actually surprised me quite a lot. I thought more people would have day gaps or something, but there is one person who was last seen a week ago, and 2 others or 3 others a day ago, and they're all alts, which I think is actually quite impressive. Obviously it's not very representative of the whole community, but it's interesting to see 34 separate people, excluding maybe a few alt accounts, all logging in every day.
You're just itching to kick that guy, aren't you? I can tell.
Oh, I am, yeah.
Well,
I kind of feel bad.
For our smallest clan, I did the same thing, and there's 43 people in it. There are only 3 that say played a day ago, and all the rest of them say played recently. And 2 of those are the alt accounts of one of the people that I made a co-leader, and one of them is one of my accounts. And that's for like our smallest clan in the family. But I have the added benefit of, on my TikTok, I have pinned as one of my posts, basically a recruitment post that just says, hey, do you want, and I haven't updated it since like, I don't know, April or May of last year. I actually recorded a new one yesterday or the day before that I'm going to eventually post. But because of that, I get this constant steady stream of people that are always wanting to join, because I'm like some like pseudo celebrity on TikTok, and all these like 15 and 16-year-olds want to be in one of my clans. But so I have the luxury of being able to do, and I could actually legitimately deliver on that of kicking the lowest and still have all kinds of new people. But because of the way that we sort of force people into playing, because I tell people, like, we're a war clan. If you're not active, if you're not playing, the third largest, or the third highest of them, 49 people there, and all but one of them played recently. And part of it is because they know like they're not on and they're not active. I wind up kicking them out to make room for somebody who is.
Yeah. No,
I'll
I
say
think
this now. Please send these extra people to us. Like all of them, every single one could come to us. We'll take them off your hands. Just please.
Oh, I do want to move into some of the balance changes though, because I do think those are getting slept on a bit. I don't hear many people talking about them, and they're super interesting. They did some AI changes, and I don't know if that's actually going to affect balance. Like it's almost bug fixes for the AI. Just hopefully makes it more predictable. But the big balance is that Electro Dragons are faster. They went from a 1.5 move speed to a 1.6. Battle Blimp is a little bit stronger. Or is a little bit weaker as far as just the damage. I think that's because it was in almost every air attack, and I don't think that's actually going to affect the Battle Blimp at all. I think you're going to see it in the exact same scenarios. But the big one is that the Flame Flinger has been pretty much entirely reworked. If anyone is not familiar, I'm just reading off of the post. It says that it'll shoot a burst of 3 separate fire spirits instead of a single projectile. The damage per attack has been increased. Not at level 1, but at max level. So it scales a little bit better as the game, or as you upgrade it. Splash damage has been decreased. Max fire DPS has been decreased. Fire damage ramps up more quickly. Its lifetime has been reduced, and its AI has been balanced to be more reliable, whatever that means. But that's a huge change to a troop that came out really recently, and I'm also not sure what to think about the Electro Drag move speed buff, if that's going to make him trophy at Town Hall 11 again or not.
I played with the E-Drag today. The speed buff is it will now beat a sweeper, because there were some weird times where you could get one E-Drag versus one sweeper, and it would just puff it away forever. And the tiny little tweak that they did, it's like 0.1 extra speed. Now an E-Drag can beat a sweeper is all it is. It still takes a few puffs, but it eventually gets up there and gets a shot off.
So how big of a difference is that going to make for E-Drag spam? Because I think it's huge for players that aren't taking it very seriously.
I haven't played with them yet. I don't know how big it's going to be. I wouldn't be surprised if it was addressing that one specific random scenario of sweeper versus E-Drag, and just resolving that, because it was kind of like, if it ever happened to you, it was really frustrating. But I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me either way if it was an overall E-Drag buff or if it was aimed at that one little instance. But the Flame Flinger though, that the AI fixes for that were pretty big and a long time coming. There's been a lot of videos about it, and what the problem was that it would sometimes skip over defenses. I think it's kind of was a rule of 3 issue. Where it will look at the 3 closest targets, and then originally there was some degree of randomness in there, so sometimes it would choose a further target and then walk into range of another defense it normally wouldn't have or shouldn't have, and they just removed that randomness in the target selection. So there's been a lot of videos about it, and it was pretty frustrating just to have your Flame Flinger skip over a town hall to target an expo behind the town hall and just get wrecked.
Yeah.
But ideally that should be gone now. I've seen a few people still complain, but a lot of times that's just people not understanding what's going on too. So I don't know.
So I want to say, like, on the E-Drag thing, I'm actually interested to do this to try them out a little bit, because I was never a mass E-Drag for the most part. Like every now and then I would see a base that I would say this actually screams, like densely packed base, I would say this screams Electro Dragons.
Yeah.
And lately, and I was actually telling Rick this the other day, that I feel like I figured out a good methodology for working with the Super Dragons, where I used to do it where I'd use my heroes basically as a Sui kill squad and then send in the E-Drags. And what I would find is I'd still get like high 80%, low 90% attacks, because, I'm good at funneling and I know when to use my free spells. But what I've started doing is sending my heroes in such a way that they're avoiding some of the higher damage I'm like almost sending them after trash buildings, and then sending the Super Dragons like straight at the town hall and heavy damage per second buildings in there. And ever since I've been doing that, I've been meeting with a lot of success, and I saw that upgrade of the Electro Dragons with the speed, and I thought, you know what, there are so many similarities between the Super Dragon and the Electro Dragon, and I can still use other super troops if I decided that I would do, try drag spam. But I'm very curious to check it out. And I think something people don't think about, like, it doesn't seem like a lot to say 0.1 tiles per second, but I am a math guy, and it's a nearly 7. It doesn't sound like a lot. It's a nearly 7% increase in speed. And when you think about the kinds of upgrades that we wind up getting at some of these higher town hall levels, like you take let's say a baby dragon at town hall 14 that does, let me see here, trained troops. I have, let's see, it's 145 damage per second. And that same baby dragon at town hall 13 deals 135 damage per second. So if we go that extra 10, I keep hitting 11 because my fingers are apparently substantially larger than I think they are, on 135, it's a 7.4% increase in damage per second. Yet when we get these new troops at each town hall level, a lot of times the increases that they get in hit points or the increases they get in damage per second, these are like 7, 8, 9% increases. And we find ourselves where the same exact army against, let's say I'm attacking a Town Hall 13, and if I just swap it out with Town Hall 14 troops, the base doesn't stand a chance. And most of that happens with 7, 8, 9, 10% increases in damage per second, in hit points, in whatever other special abilities there might be. So I feel like that speed increase of the 6.5, almost 7% increase in speed, I feel like that has to have a huge ripple effect. And as soon as I stop drinking the Kool-Aid of these super dragons, because I got 4 3-stars in our, my 2 Town Hall 12s. Town Hall 14's got 4 3-stars in our last clan, where I was like, man, these super dragons, they are so powerful. 1 or 2 of the bases were kind of weaker, but I was like, man, these are awesome. So I'm still excited to try them. But I want to try the E-Drags because I feel like that extra speed equates in a lot of ways to increase damage per second, because if you think about how long they would normally take to get somewhere, getting there a little bit faster means they start dealing more damage more quickly, which means they're getting out more damage before they die, which that's an interesting metric to measure, like total damage output until death of a troop. And that's going to basically increase it by 6.5%. And I've seen E-Drags in the hands of very skilled E-Dragons attackers. And I feel like this is going to be a massive upgrade for them, but one I haven't tried out yet.
Yeah, I really like that and how you put the stats to it. And we were kind of getting into this with a conversation about Lalo 2 weeks ago, but there's some armies that are balanced around player skill. And Lalo, Queen Walks are both examples of that, where the game has to balance it around a really skilled player. And then some armies are really just balanced about how they stat check a base. And E-Drags especially, I feel like Super Drags also a little bit, but because you have fewer of them, where you place them can be more important. But E-Drags especially, tons of people just spam on one side, and they have a pretty decent success rate as just a pure stat check into a base. So even if it's not a direct damage output buff, any stat that you put into an army that is already designed to stat check a base really should just make it that much stronger.
I've been using Stone Slammer with the Super Dragons instead of using the Blimp, but I do know, and this is because I have town halls at every single town hall level. One of the main things that I do in Clan War League and in Clan Wars, but most heavily in Clan War League, I use Town Hall 10, Town Hall 11 to attack for 2 stars, Town Halls 13 and 14. And I'm a little nervous to see how the change to the Blimp is going to wind up affecting the success rate of being able to legitimately 2-star a Town Hall 14 with a Town Hall 11 or a Town Hall 13 with a Town Hall 10. So I feel like on that one, I'll have more personal experience when we wind up getting into, the next Clan War League week, because I don't tend to do that during normal wars, because during normal wars, you don't have the, one base, one attack thing.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how it all pans out. The Flame Flinger especially, I think there's an interesting conversation about, how you measure success of a unit that you rework entirely once it comes out. But for the sake of time, we're going to move on into our next talking point, because this is something I know that at least Rick and I have been rearing to talk about. And so I'm interested, Trample, if you have any thoughts on it too. There was another huge change with this quality of life update that wasn't anywhere in the notes and that Supercell has not commented on in really any capacity. And that is the complete separation of all of the Chinese players. If anyone's unfamiliar with what's going on, it seems like everybody who plays the game in China received almost a global ban for a day or two, and then they can get back in. But from everything on the outside, it looks like they're on entirely separate servers. They have no interaction, no overlap with anybody else in the game. Wars that were going on between a Chinese clan and a normal clan were pretty much forfeited by the Chinese clan. They couldn't get onto them. A lot of other finer details about that, but it seems like they snuck into this quality of life update a complete segmentation of the Chinese player base. And I know we've had a lot of strong thoughts about that. So, Rick, I'll start with you. What do you think?
So, we haven't seen a comment from Supercell, and by now we probably won't. To anyone who's listening, I know a lot of you guys are still getting that banned message that you need a new login. If we ever do hear of a solution or get some guidance from Supercell on what you're supposed to do, we'll definitely pin that and try and get it out to as much people as we can on the subreddit. Until now, you got to just keep trying to support is all we can really say. I know that you guys have probably been trying to fail it for days now. Yeah, and I wish we had more to tell you. I wish they would communicate with us more. But for now, you just got to keep plugging away. And if anyone does find a new successful method to get back in the game or potentially migrate themselves off of a Chinese server, please let us know so we can spread that information. But overall, I guess with the whole splitting off Chinese players too, it makes the CWL change make a lot more sense looking backwards at it. Because I know we talked about it last episode with everyone went down to 5 wars, and then they really changed the promotion records. Spence, I'm assuming, is pinning that message or one of those posts. But we got to look at least Champs 1, the numbers. By Will Alone posted a real good speculative post about why he thinks that the CWL was shortened. And obviously it wasn't because February is a short month. I mean, I don't think anyone bought that from the start.
Well, I didn't see that coming, honestly, how short February was this year. That really caught me by surprise. If it hadn't like their update, that notice about Clan War League, I would have been like, oh, this is going to have 30 days in it.
Yeah.
Like maybe this year's the year that we get a normal February.
Yeah, so, but in hindsight, looking back, that maybe it was testing for the Chinese server because the rest of the world shouldn't be too affected. The graph that I think Spence has pinned this, it's the number of Champs 1 clans per country, is obviously going to be influenced by skill, but is generally speaking a sample size of the player base. I would assume you can extrapolate that pretty well. Trample's our math guy. He can tell me where I'm wrong. But like rank 1 is China with C1 teams, and that's 617. Rank 2 is international. So just generally speaking, international teams is only 413. And then you can look at the different countries after that go down. United States, a lot of reviewers might be from there. We have 95 Champs 1 teams, and we're in 9th place. But China has like by far the most Champs 1 teams. But if you segment them off in their own thing, running 8-man CW or 8 war CWLs can be pretty tough because their player base, even though it is rank 1, is not even half of the combined total of everybody else. And so that might be what they're doing. Is the Chinese server is going to have a 5-clan 6-day CWL or something like it.
Yeah. China had more. China specifically had more than the next 3 individual countries combined. Not counting international. So I don't know if anyone realized exactly how many players that we lost this week, and it was huge. But also shortening it created more groups total for CWL, and that means more people promoted. And they also changed who fewer people demoted, so it also helped move a ton of clans up to kind of maybe fill the hole from all the Chinese clans that we just lost. And a lot of those international clans just got gutted too from having Chinese players, and I'm sure their Chinese players trickled throughout a lot of individual country clans as well. But it's a huge hole that they got to fill.
The one small concession that I'll give to Supercell on this issue, and like if any of you guys know me or have listened to this for a long time, I'm a huge Supercell fanboy. I try to be in their corner as much as possible and really do my best about it. But I think this is a pretty bleak one from their side of it. The only concession is that they do have a good policy about giving concessions to players when they're inconvenienced. And so the fewer demotions for the shorter CWL week was really nice. There's a post that we have linked into the comment right now that's talking about what they did with all of the Chinese people that were off on their own server. And they did get like a ton of free things from their trader hut. All of their events were significantly easier than the rest of the player base. And so they're trying to at least treat those players well on the unique Chinese server. And they're doing their best to make that as quality of life as possible. I just can't believe they've been quiet about it. That like surely this isn't a surprise to them, and no comment on it at all is just baffling to me. I think I was talking the silence is deafening.
I know I've been probably one of the more critical mods of us when it comes to Supercell, but I did learn something today that might help explain some of their silence. I know Apple and Google are kind of tend to enforce some of the regional standards when it comes to App Store stuff, as it was explained to me. So if they tried to push this update earlier and one of the app stores blocked it, then Supercell wouldn't be able to really disclose the reason that an update was blocked, and or they might face being removed from the app store, which would be massive. So their silence might be kind of acceptable if that were the case. If they can't I don't want to say legally, but if they can't realistically explain why an update was blocked because of Apple or Google wanting to obey the regulations over there, I get it from that angle.
I mean, I see what you're saying, but I would also argue that point a bit, because it's not that an update was blocked. Like a similar update went out to all of the Chinese players. It's just that they being segmented off into their own servers, like that takes a ton of time in advance to like get server space specifically for China to figure out how to separate that in game. And so like I'd be surprised if it caught him off guard. Maybe they can't say whatever.
This might be something that like just more me and you are keyed in on, Frank.
Yeah.
But I know that with the December update, there was a lot of last minute shuffling and a lot of like weird stuff going on behind the scenes. And I know some of the speculation is starting to show like maybe it's kind of stemming from then, and it's now we're just feeling the effects and seeing how they are dealing with it 2 months down the line. So it's not so much that they might have blocked it a couple days ago, but maybe that happened months ago, and now this is the Band-Aid.
Are there any reported differences between the updates that they get and ours? Because I do know one, as silly as it sounds, this was on the Reddit in like a top post, is that the healer has I think more cleavage in the rest of the game, and then in the Chinese version the dress is more modest. But like besides something like that,
things
differences.
I know Alex Bannister, the guy, I think he has a top comment in the like, hey, we know there's issues post that I made.
Yeah.
I know he went into a lot of the differences between Chinese server games and the rest of the world. And it's a lot of there might be a lot of stuff coming down for them later that we'll have to explore and find out, but it's a lot of graphical stuff. They're gonna I know he was saying they're gonna change the color of the skeleton spells, and just showing skeletons and anything more demonic is a no, and it's gonna be lots of little visual tweaks like that, it seems like. But yeah, as far as differences goes, I don't know. It's one of those time will tell kind of things, and it's not going to be anything too important or that shifts gameplay all that much. What I am curious about is how the World Finals is going to play out, because the defending champs are Chinese, so I don't know how Chinese teams are going to get back into the World's situation.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. I just wanted to kind of link back to their whole silence on this, because I think I'm inclined to agree with what Rick said about there being some sort of legal or there's definitely something I think beyond their, because realistically none of this benefits them. So I think it was almost 100% certain that this is some sort of Chinese government policy, or at the very least something to do with Tencent, which is a Chinese company that owns, I think, about 80% of Supercell. So it does surprise me. It would surprise me if they had free reign to say what they want. They wouldn't just come out and go, "Yep, guys, wasn't us," because the community is rightfully or wrongfully getting annoyed at them for this. So I think it's pretty certain that they have some more legal reason why they can't disclose this, because otherwise it makes no sense why they wouldn't want to be kind of
I mean, I just
what
am so confused still, and I understand what you guys are all saying, and I agree with it. But it's not like this is the only game where this is happening. Like, plenty of games have unique Chinese servers just because of their censorship of games. I know League of Legends has a couple of champs who are different in their appearance on the Chinese servers because kind of like what Rick was saying, because skeletons are viewed differently. But and the Tencent point makes a lot of sense too, that if it's something to do with Tencent, something to do with how China is communicating to Tencent or Tencent communicating to Supercell, that makes sense to me. But it's just, I can't believe that they're so cornered that they can't come out with any statement to say like this was intentional or this is because of X, Y, and Z. So hopefully they comment on it at some point. But to the esports comment, I do think this might be healthy for the overall look at esports, because if you look at pretty much any other video game in esports, they have regional competitions that then turn into worlds competitions. And so I can see China having its regional competition throughout the year that sends its top team to worlds, and then they compete, and that's pretty par for the course. And so that would maybe be a nice little spurring on to the other countries to have their own regional qualifiers that then turn into a world's competition. Because right now it's mini worlds 5 or 6 times before we have the actual world's competition.
So I know when they announced the new tournament format, they said there's going to be 4 community events and 4 Supercell ran events in the 6v6 Clash in the summer. And then they announced what 3 of them were, and the 4th, I don't know, is known yet. And now I'm wondering, is that going to be a Chinese-specific one? Just because all those players are not going to be able to compete in the others. I don't know, and maybe that's already settled. Someone can fill us in if I'm wrong, but that is what I'm thinking now, at least.
I would be quite interested to see what the player count in these Chinese servers are now, because obviously, as everyone knows, China is a huge country, and I'm sure has plenty of Clash players. But I just wonder, because obviously everyone's just been getting annoyed about being separated from their clans, from the outside world, as it were. But I wonder how this just affects little things like the in-game economy. Is there less loot available now for Chinese players because they've been separated off? Is it hard? Does it take longer for them to find matches? I imagine so. Do wars take longer? I wonder if this has had a noticeable effect on their experience, aside from just not being with the other people.
This is pure speculation on my behalf, but knowing the number of time zones they span, there are going to be times of the day where most of the country on a normal work schedule would be awake. And there's obviously people all over the world at work, whether you call it a graveyard shift or an overnight shift, whatever your terminology is. But I actually was thinking about how, there's I know that right now I've got all kinds of targets of people that I can be attacking in Europe because many of them are sleeping right now. And the same thing would apply for us. People in China have plenty of bases for US-based players that are sleeping when it's a perfect time in the morning for them to be making some attacks. I got to believe that it's going to have some problematic piece at, I'm going to say, between 9 o'clock in the morning and noon, where as the entire country is essentially in normal daylight hours, the players are going to find it, I believe they're going to find it harder than before because they're not able to, pick on people who are sleeping in, South America, North America. I got to believe that's going to affect it negatively.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where it goes. I just really have my fingers crossed that we'll get a comment about it at some point. But even if we don't, it looks like at least for this foreseeable future, this is where we're at. Surely if it was unintentional or an accident that, Supercell would have said that and we're working on a fix. And the fact that they haven't said we're working on a fix, I think speaks volumes to this most likely being the long term for it.
Yeah, exactly. Legends got messed up for 2 hours, and there was an immediate tweet about it right after that maintenance break. And then,
right. Yeah.
And now it's been 3 days and no comment on this. So yeah,
I don't
that's
think
on
one's
purpose.
coming at this point.
Well, I'm putting on my Supercell hat because I do like.
You're such a bootlicker.
I know. Well, it's better than being the boomer.
There's a reason he has this NDA, isn't there?
So maybe positive conspiracy theory. The reason they've been so quiet about it is that they're hoping it won't be permanent, and it's what they have to do for now. Maybe they're hoping to work out either an ownership deal with Tencent where they're buying back their company and then can go back to a single unified player base, or something. And so maybe a comment would be more definite than the situation that they're in right now.
I have to say, I had to disagree with that. I think it's too huge of a change for them not. I would be surprised if they didn't try exhaust all options before doing this, because, as I think you said earlier, like this is such a huge logistical and technical challenge that I think I'd be surprised if they didn't try and look for all alternative options before going for the nuclear option of just different server. So, with all the preparation time that this probably involves, I'd be shocked to see them backtrack on it at least anytime soon.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, we're starting to get a little bit over time. We'll do. We've only had a few questions come in tonight, not too many, but we'll do one question that was asked to us. Should be pretty quick to answer, and then go around, do any shout outs that we have or final comments. But you, Larbster, asks, what's the longest war streak each of you have had in any clan in your career in Clash? I'll go first, even though I'm not quite sure what the answer is for mine. We haven't hit 20. We're in like mid teens, but I've been in a totally maxed out clan for a couple of years now.
So I'll say for me, this would have been late 14 into early 15. We hit 23, I think, before we ended up losing. And this would have been pre-Town Hall 11. So Town Hall 10 would have been the highest Town Hall at the time. Most of our clan was Town Halls 8 and 9.
Nice.
All right, what do you got, Sam?
So back in Congress, I think earlier sometime later last year, we hit a war streak of 14. Now in centers, we're currently on a war streak of 10. So maybe in the future we can come back and beat this record. Maybe not. We'll have to see.
All right. This is where I get to flex, I guess. My longest streak is 103.
Oh my god.
No.
Yeah. So that I guess with an asterisk, because that was slightly engineered. So we did run, but not very much. So we ran one defenseless base. That was mine. That's my Town Hall 13 now, Sam, the one you've seen that I played with you on. Yeah. And then we had probably 4 or 5 .5s. This was during when 10 and 11 were max, back when you really could engineer. It may technically be a little longer, because I'm not sure how the war streaks were counted originally. I've heard that when the war streaks were added to the game, that they didn't count any existing streak already, that they all started at 0. So ours might be a little longer, but I'm not sure if that's true or not. But yeah, we made it to 103. It was I want to say it was in the top 15 in the world at the time we lost it, and we were second. We were second in the US at the time we lost it as well.
I need to know how did it feel to lose it?
Yeah.
It killed our clan. It killed our clan overnight. We had as soon as we got over like 30, 40, that's when people started finding us and just requesting to join constantly. We had to like close the clan and say, we only recruit on group me back in the day. So we had to say, we had to say like message us on group me here. And then once it got up to like 60, 70, that's when we started getting really skeptical of everyone who wanted to join, because hunting other clans and killing win streaks was starting to become a thing. Mm-hmm. So it was like we'd get new members who would join and be like, when's the next war surge? Like, who's going to be in? What's going on? Like, I want to know. Can I be in? Like, what's everyone's weight? And it was, I don't know, like maybe we're just being paranoid, but it always really felt like people were trying to hunt us. And then we lost on a draw. We lost on a perfect war draw, which everyone hated. And we went from 50 members. We had a feeder. We had a feeder with 30 people in it. And so really had like 80 people in the clan, and we went down to like 25 overnight. The second we lost it, everyone bailed.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I have a clan where I keep a lot of my smaller town halls, and I do like solo wars in those. I know Rick and I have talked about these in the past, that one day we need to set up like a me versus Rick,
we still need a 5 versus 5.
But that clan right now, I get 100% in almost every one of the wars, and so I'll periodically have a tie in there. But that clan that I have currently has a 23 war unbeaten streak. So it's not a win streak because there's 2 ties in there that have split it up.
Right.
That's one that's like, I'd be cool if I could just keep it going. And then I'll get one where it's like, and normally they wind up as lopsided ones where it's like I have my highest town hall as a town hall 10, and then they'll wind up with like a town hall 12. And, it's not a terrible attacker. So they managed to 3-star me, but their base is trash. So I can still 3-star it with my town hall 10. It's like, oh, all right, starting back over on my win streak.
Man. Yeah. Rick, how big were your wars on that streak? Were they like 30v30s?
Those were 20s and 25s.
Nice.
And that was back when like 10 and 11 was max around then. So
Crazy.
That was mostly like town hall 8, 9, 10, 11.
Man. Well, we are officially over time. So Trample, thanks so much for coming on. I can speak for the whole mod team when I say we love you. We love your work. Super glad that you've been here. I have just the smallest YouTube channel, and you commented on my videos a few times, and like my stomach fluttered. It was so special. But what shout outs do you have? Go ahead and plug your channel so we can all follow, and subscribe.
My Trample Damage is my YouTube channel. That's about it. I really honestly, this is just, I do this for fun. People ask me like, what do you do with the money you get from this? I'm like, first off, I don't make that much money because my channels aren't that big, and even on TikTok with as much. I did have like a $25 day the other day though, because of the most recent challenge, the Valentine's Day challenge. That one actually got like 800,000 views on TikTok, and it's a longer one, the whole video, but I just pour all the money back into the game anyway. So I do want to say thank you guys. I really appreciate you inviting me. This has been a lot of fun. I don't have a lot of those what do you call it, friends. So this is the most social. This is like the most social thing I've done aside from responding to, largely, I think 15-year-olds around the country that wind up commenting on my TikTok videos. So this has been a lot of fun for me. I just really appreciate you guys having me. And I hope that if I wind up ever producing crappy content, you guys will be honest and say, hey, listen, your stuff has totally gone downhill. Please stop doing this, because I don't want to ever get to a point where, I feel entitled, or I feel like it's, I'm putting out good stuff. Like I only post stuff because I love the community. I love the game. And I'm a big Supercell fan like Frank. I'm a big fan. I love the product, and I just like to contribute. So I just want to say thanks to you guys for having me on.
Yeah, if you ever start making crap, don't worry, I'll ban you immediately. I'm just like, the power has went to my head. Like, it's, you're gone. Don't worry about it.
Oh, man. Nick, Sam, any shout outs?
Yeah, I'll say, I want to shout out Catfish again. Catfish has always been pretty cool. He has a Clashing in Traffic. That's his podcast. He's been hitting real hard on the fishing stuff, which is still not over. So don't forget it, anyone. We still got to keep the pressure up. Another podcast, Clashing on the Poddy, Poddy. They're about to hit their 100th episode, so y'all should check them out too. Just want to spread some other podcast love. But yeah, go ahead, Sam.
I don't really have any shout outs. I mean, if you're Tal 13 plus, please come and join Santa's clan, because we need people. That is a completely shameless plug.
No,
and I'm not afraid.
On the sub.
Oh man, podcast is
I'm gonna have to ban this podcast. Oh dear. But yeah, honestly, just been amazing having Trample on today, and been an awesome pod.
Nice. Shout out to all of you guys for being here. Everyone who's been watching live. Super cool that we have a pretty steady group that's here every couple of weeks. And shout out to everyone who's going to listen to this for the next 2 weeks before we come out with the next one. And shout out to Clash.Ninja. we see you. You're listening to this.
Yeah. Don't think you're going to get out of this without coming on, buddy.
Oh,
Yeah,
man,
I was saying earlier that the UK time zone might put you off, but you proved that you can be here, so there's no escaping now.
Oh, man. Well, that's going to do it from all of us. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you in about 2 weeks.
All right, bye.
Yeah, see everyone. Bye.
How do I hang up?
You just hit leave, dude.
I
There's a
found
leave.
it.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
See ya.